this the overemphasis on IQ by some people. I'm not saying by everybody. I'm not saying to neglect the literature, but the overemphasis, among other things, makes this error of thinking that intelligence, as it were, the only important trait in human beings.
Well, I think the problem there is not exactly so much the
and again, strawman here. These guys don't know the right at all. He says, well, the problem is IQ is not the only trait worth caring for. Well, no one claims this in the alt-right. In fact, I don't even know an alt-righter who's totally fascinated by IQ measures, and he's like, yeah, I want to increase the IQ. No one says that.
Definition of intelligence as the only important, what would you say, defining characteristic of human beings, but to conflate intelligence with value or moral virtue.
Yeah, and worth.
Right, yes, worth, that's the...
So here they don't define their terms. If they define their terms, they would realize that what they're saying makes no sense. Can IQ be conflated with moral virtue? Well, moral virtue, I'm guessing, is some sort of honor, sense of being right, of respecting the laws. Well, it can to some extent, actually. There is some sort of a link between crime and IQ. It's not like a one-to-one, and it's not because you're low IQ that you're going to be violent. But look at the map of the world in terms of rape, and look at the map of the world in terms of IQ. You're going to have everything you need to see the link between the two. Now they then move on to worth. Let's see what they have to say about, well, IQ is not worth.
The really pernicious element is that there's an underlying assumption that if there are differences in people with regards to IQ, somehow there are differences in their worth. Yes. And there are differences.
Well, there are. I mean, if IQ has any relevance to any outcome, then potentially, as someone dating someone else, I may be interested in maximizing these outcomes. What if I tell you that your child has, let's say, 50% chance if you reproduce with this female, 50% chance that he's going to end up unhappy, on social welfare, and, I don't know, generally unsuccessful. And what if there's this other girl, and if you reproduce with this girl, there's only a 5% chance that your child would end up in the same situation. That is worth, because it can influence my choice. And yet that is not oppression of any kind. It is simply the use of my discretion as a being, as a sexual being, to make a choice.
Differences in their economic worth, so...
Now, Jordan Peterson recognizes, well, there's a link with economic worth. Well, if there's a link with economic worth, there's a link with sexual worth. Because, of course, if you're more successful in the economy, you are also more successful on the sexual market. At least for guys.
But that doesn't mean that there are differences in their intrinsic worth. And that's something that...
Now, what the heck does Jordan Peterson mean by intrinsic worth? What is intrinsic worth? Let me try to pull an image here. What is the intrinsic worth of this guy? This guy is 600 pounds. Does he have the same intrinsic worth as me? What's intrinsic worth? Is it an individual basis? So intrinsic worth is the value that you have for yourself? Is it the perception of what you are worth in the world? What's my intrinsic worth then? Well, it's 1. And your intrinsic worth is 1. And this guy's intrinsic worth is 1. I'm confused there. What is intrinsic worth? Because worth only operates in a market of exchange. And so, worth means nothing if there is no decision to make. Do you really have decisions to make about yourself where you could trade yourself against something else? Then talking about intrinsic worth is useless. There's not going to be an exchange of yourself. Ben McKean says intrinsic is something that is inherent, what we all start with. All right, well, what we all start with. At what age? Some people are born with much more worth than some others. So by your definition, it doesn't work because it can be equated with economic worth at birth. So I don't think that's what he meant. What I think is happening in Jordan Peterson's head is that he's looking for a justification for talking about all these dirty facts that he finds annoying. And because he's trying to come with a justification, he creates this concept of intrinsic worth, which has no application, no semantic consistency. There's no such thing as intrinsic worth.